Hi guys! So today we are going to learn about the parts of a flower. Okay, so there are many processes in the parts of flower. So today we will be learning 4 types. 1. The parts of the flower, which also includes its functions. Then we have the pollination. What is pollination and how does pollination work? And we have fertilization next. What is fertilization and how does fertilization work? And finally we have germination, which is also like the pollination and fertilization I said. Okay, so now let's start with the parts of flower. Okay, so this is my flower. Tell me in the comments how it is. Okay, so here we have, it is divided into male and female parts. Let's start with the male part. Okay, so the male part, we have the anther. The anther is a part of the flower which produces pollen. The filament is like a holding thing, and it connects it to the main flower. Okay, so this is called the stamen. The stamen means the male part of the flower. Okay, now let's go on to the female part. The female part of the flower, there are 3 main of them: the stigma, the style, and the ovary. So we will learn about this pollen tube later on, which will send pollen through this. That will come in the process of pollination. So the stigma is when, so I'll tell you that the stigma is sticky to catch pollen. Okay, so the style is something which leads it through into the ovary, and it also connects it with the main flower. It does 2 functions. Okay, the ovary is like an egg sac. Okay, so that it's like a hollow area where it protects the egg inside. Okay, now let's move on bit downwards of the plant. We'll find these parts. So the receptacle is just the outer of the ovary. Keep this in mind. The ovary is in here. It's not this outer part. The outer part is the receptacle. Okay, so now the reason why I've drew the sepal a bit shorter is because to show you the ovary and the receptacle and blah 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 other stuff. So okay guys, so the reason why I've drew this a bit downwards is because so that I could show you the receptacle and the ovary. Oh, and I forgot, there's one more part called the ovule. The ovule is this tiny part, but you should remember this: the ovule and the eggs are not the same. The ovule is like a chamber which holds the egg in it, and it is where the process of fertilization starts. Okay, not where it starts, it's like that is where the real mixing of both of them happens. Okay, so the sepal, I'll show you some parts. So this is, okay, where was I? Yeah, so the pedicel is a part where it connects the whole flower to the other parts, to the stem. Okay, so it be like this: the stem is here, the leaves are here. When it makes food, it goes for the roots and to the flower as well. Okay, so now that we are done with the sepal, the pedicel, the final part we have remaining is the sepal. So the sepal is like it's like a type of leaf which covers the ovary and protects, like even the receptacle protects the ovary protects the ovule protects the egg. It's just like that, and the sepal protects the receptacle, which almost protects everything in there. Okay, so that's it of the parts and the functions of a flower. Okay guys, so now let's come to the next topic, which is pollination. So you guys be like, what is pollination? How is pollination done? How is it executed? Well, first I'll tell you what is it. Okay, so pollination is when the pollen goes to the stigma of. Okay, so now I'll show you how does pollination work. Okay, so I got this bee with me to show. Actually, bees are known as pollinators. Okay, so I have also drew another flower for reference. A bee flies to this flower. It sits over here and then it touches the stigma to like have some of the nectar. It is very tasty for this bee, not for me. Okay, and when it sits over here, all these anthers pollen sticks on to its legs. Okay, so now since it's over here, it's ready for flight. It flies and then it sits on this. Now when it sits on this, remember the past when it sat here and the pollen had came here to its legs. Now when it sits here, this pollen will go to the stigma, and whatever pollen is over here, so it shows. So when it touches, the legs touch the stigma. So that is when the pollen which it touched previously will come and transfer into this, and whatever it is touching right now, again that anther's pollen touches it into it, and then it flies to another one, and then it repeats the same process again and again. So pollinators are a key part in pollination. Okay, so remember the pollen came over here. Now it is transferred into the pollen tube. The pollen tube, from all three directions or wherever that thingy is, it goes all the way into the straight tube, and then it just suddenly goes like this, and then it goes to two of the ovary. It goes in the ovary and it goes inside the ovule. So in the ovule, it is like this egg. Inside there will be an atom, a molecule of the pollen grain and the egg. So when they both mix, that is the process of fertilization. So when they start mixing, they form a seed. That's it. That's just called fertilization. Whatever I told from start to end was pollination. After that, which I told a bit of extra inside this ovule, was the fertilization. So fertilization is just the process when the pollen mixes with the egg and forms a seed. That's it. Okay. So now this is the time of the seed dispersal. Just like how we disperse from school, it's time for the seed dispersal. The ovule suddenly breaks apart when it cannot hold the seed anymore, and then what happens is all of these parts, all of these will just shed off, and only the ovary and the receptacle will be remaining. That is your fruit, and even the receptacle will also start to peel off, leaving only the ovary. Okay, so when I told this, all of these parts will just shed off, and only the receptacle will also be remaining. The receptacle is over here. Okay, and the receptacle will also start to peel off layer by layer, only leaving the ovary apart. Okay, so the ovary will now be considered as a fruit, and when that gets too old, it rots, or someone comes, ooh, this is a nice fruit, let's take it. Yeah, now let's cut it and eat it. They do that. Otherwise, it rots naturally, and then eventually the fruit just falls down and the seed starts to come off. Okay, but if you see in some fruits, they are like shaped like a big bomb around this size. Okay, so it's like a fruit. It's almost the size of a pumpkin. So when the seed becomes too big and then it can't, it's like, I'm getting out of this fruit, will suddenly burst open. A very, very loud sound. Okay. So now that this is done, this is where the process of germination happens. So our topic now is germination. So in that there are two topics we have to discuss: the parts of a seed and how a plant grows. Okay, so first let's learn what are the parts of a seed. Okay, so first we got this hilum, then we got a tiny part in there which is called the micropyle. This will be our cotyledon. Okay, so this is our embryo in there. This is our endosperm. Okay, this is the hypocotyl. This is the seed coat, and this is the plumule. So there are also part of the root. So these are primary root. These are secondary roots. Okay, and these are radicals. Okay, now let's move on how a plant grows. Okay, so first it's just the seed coat over here with the embryo in there. Then these two is the cotyledon. Okay, so first the shoot grows down, then comes the root. First the root comes down, then the shoot comes up. So this grows even more, and then the seed will finally start. The plant will finally start getting secondary roots from the primary roots. Okay, now the root goes even deeper into the soil, but the plant is just initially growing. Okay, never mind. It just grows up all the way for a growing stem. Okay, it goes as a growing stem, and then it will get its first leaves. These are its first leaves. Now it became big. Then these will be after that. Then this will be the first leaves. These are the first leaves now currently for this plant, and finally they will get into a grown plant. It's not fully grown until it gets a flower, like I got over there. Okay, so remember the process I shown you. Till the flower grows, it keeps growing on. Okay, then this process repeats from the start. Okay, explain you this. So this is the shoot system, and this is the root system. Always. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. If you subscribe, that motivates me, and if you subscribe, I'll add even more educational videos for you, including the 3 main chapters or the subjects: English, Math and Science. Okay, so follow me in my Instagram account and subscribe on my YouTube account. Okay, bye bye.